Hello, and welcome to Direct Plan and Improve. I'm Dr. Suzanne Van Hove, and I'm very excited to take you through the DPI course. But before we get started, we have a few housekeeping things that we need to do, specifically around trademarks and copyrights. I have to read these things directly, so bear with me. ITIL is a registered trademark of Axelos Limited, used under permission of Axelos Limited, all rights reserved. IT Infrastructure Library is a registered trademark of Axelos Limited, used under permission of Axelos Limited, all rights reserved. The Swirl logo is a trademark of Axelos Limited, used under permission of Axelos Limited, all rights reserved. All other copyrights are property of their respective owners, and all text that we find in the slides and in the handouts is from the final draft of ITIL 4 Direct Plan and Improve and the ITIL Practice Guides Continual Improvement and Organizational Change Management. Copyright Axelos Limited 2020, used under permission of Axelos Limited, all rights reserved. Material is reproduced under license from Axelos Limited. Okay, glad that's over. So here we go. What are we going to be talking about in DPI? This is a class that now can be used in both the Managing the Professional and the Strategic Leader. DPI, Direct Plan and Improve, is a very generic class looking at how do I plan, how do I create those plans, make sure people are incorporating them, and how does it move within improvement. The agenda is truly the syllabus, and I'm going to say this about 1,000 times. You need to make sure you have a printed copy of the syllabus, which you can download from the site, and follow along with that syllabus. Make sure you have read the required sections. The course is set up to fulfill those requirements. We shouldn't have any problem. The one thing that I'm going to hint at now is the syllabus is repetitive. There is a lot of information that's used under multiple learning objectives, and that's my agenda. The learning objectives, if you've matched them up already with the syllabus, are exactly our agenda. So we're going to talk about some key concepts, talk about what the scope is, look at governance, one of my favorite topics, so governance, risk, and compliance, or GRC. Items around continual improvement, communication, organizational change, two very, very important topics when you talk about the management of change or developing your organization to address digital transformation. Measurement and reporting, and then talking about value streams, which we've seen in other courses. We saw it in the foundation class, but how ITIL is saying that we deliver courses and that we deliver the functionality that the consumer is desiring. So we talk about value streams and practices. One last aspect that we do discuss is around the exam preparation, but if you're at this level at this point, most of that information, again, is repetitive or it should be known by you. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the ITIL 4 certification schema. We know that we have to start at the foundation level, that we have two tracks following that. We have the Managing Professional, which looks at more of the hands-on activities, leading transformation within an organization, and then the Strategic Leader, which is really looking at how do I plan for and how do I deal with the strategy of digital transformation. Many of you may have come in through the Managing Professional transition and you're taking DPI to fulfill the areas that were not discussed in the Managing Professional transition, which is fine. If you're looking to do that, then of course you still need to take the Digital and IT Strategy class, or DITS. Okay, so there's the certification overview. How does this all relate to the information that ITIL has provided for us? You'll note in the diagrams that the publication is there, and maybe 80% of it is examinable, but there's sections that are not examinable. The syllabus will tell you exactly what is examinable, and I encourage you now, make sure you have a printed copy of the syllabus in front of you. The syllabus is going to refer to a few of the practice guides. Those practice guides, only specific sections are going to be used. So again, some of the material in the practice guides is examinable, some is not. So what do I do with the non-examinable material? Do I just forget it and skip it? there's actually some really good information in the areas that is not being tested. So I would encourage you to review that information, maybe after the exam, or even while you're studying for the exam, to get a more rich or robust view of some of the concepts. The target audience for DPI. Well, obviously, IT service management managers and those who are aspiring to move up in the hierarchy, the organizational hierarchy, to become a manager. Managers within IT as well as outside of IT could benefit from this course of understanding what is the philosophy that ITIL 4 is delivering around directing, planning, and improving. Existing ITIL knowledge, or existing ITIL qualification holders wanting to develop their knowledge, and then other individuals that want to just expand their journey within service management. This is a class, again, it covers both the day-to-day managing professional kind of activities as well as the strategic activities. When we recorded the managing professional, we started with the DPI class because it seemed to make more sense to think about how am I going to create a strategy before I go in and create new or change services. So I think this is a really good class to look at and to explore and understand, why do I want to know about the mission and the vision of the organization before I start thinking about what services should I plan, what products and services should I plan and deliver. That's kind of a philosophy here for DPI. Of course, the DPI does have an exam. It is multiple choice. It's the same pattern as we've seen in the other intermediate level exams within ITIL 4. There's 40 multiple choice questions. It is closed book. You have to score 70% or higher, which is 28 questions correct or more. If English is not your native language and we do not have an exam in your native language, you're allowed an extra allotment of time and as well as a dictionary. Now, this is an important aspect here, so I would mark this in your handouts, that this question distribution based on the syllabus. Again, this is why the syllabus is so important. I'm not going to read through these, but you do need to know two things. Questions are written at Bloom's level 2 and level 3, and we'll talk more about that at the end after we've talked about the information. But within each of the learning outcomes, learning outcome 1, there's 8 questions. Learning outcome 2, there's 6 questions, et cetera, et cetera. You can read through the rest of the list. You can start seeing where potential questions may come from and how you should study. Okay. More on that at the end of the course when we start talking about the sample exams. And speaking of, there are 2 sample exams. My strategy for delivering this course and how I would want you to do it is to save the sample exams until the end. The questions are mixed up enough that there was no way I could go through and say, hey, take these 2 sample exam questions before you move on to the next section or the next lecture. It just didn't make sense. So we're going to save both sample exams for the end, and then I'll tell you how I want you to go through and do them. All right, so we've talked about multiple pieces of material that is included, and all of this is downloadable. So you should be able to do the following. First of all, I strongly advise you to have the full volume of Direct, Plan, and Improve. There is information in there that is examinable that I don't have word for word on slides, but I've given you enough information that you will be fine on exams. The fact that there's more information in there, I think it's just to your benefit to have it and to read it. You also need the practice guides. Again, the information that you need to know for the exam is within the slide deck and in our discussions. But go ahead and download these things. You should all have a free access to myaxelos.com. The URL is listed on the slide, and you should be able to navigate your way through that slide or that site and then download the appropriate practice guides. Downloadable directly from the GogoTraining site, you have the slides that we're going to be going through. You also have a notes file. The authors in ITIL 4 did a lot of work in tables and endless tables. So I have reproduced those in a handout so that they're easier to read and easier to study from. They're not necessarily conducive to a slide deck, so we're going to be referring back and forth to those tables quite a bit. This is a document I suggest strongly that you have printed out and have with you as we go through the various lectures. There's a set of review exercises and possible solutions. I'll assign those as we get to them. The glossary for the DPI volume is also provided for you as well to download and to use as you need fit. I am not going to say print that out. You can look it up much easier than printing it out. And then also the sample exam papers. Because you have the actual file for the sample exam papers, print them out, mark on them because you can always print another copy. All right. And then lastly, and most importantly, is the syllabus. Again, please print the syllabus out, have it next to you, read it carefully, and if you start reading it, you're going to see where the duplication is. Okay, so what information does DPI cover? Well, just by the name, I'm hoping that you're looking at the service value chain here, and you can see that DPI is going to cover the planning aspects and the improvement aspects. So this is really the outside elements of the service value chain, which you need to have in place before you start engaging, obtaining and building, designing, delivering different products and services. So this is truly the base information of how you need to be prepared to deliver products and services under ITIL 4. Last slide here, I am just going to go over it very quickly. This is straight from the syllabus, and these are the learning outcomes. It reflects nicely the agenda that we're going to be covering. We're going to go straight through the syllabus, learning outcome by learning outcome. Our next module is going to hit the key concepts of direct, plan, and improve. So I'll see you there.